Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a public meeting for the Township of Frontenac, of North Frontenac, rather. It's 5 o'clock, Thursday, May the 16th. To begin the meeting, I'd like to read a public notice regarding recording of our meetings. Please be advised, North Frontenac Council meetings are recorded. By attending a public meeting of council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Members of council, staff, delegates, and attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and or unacceptable behavior or comments. Traditional land acknowledgement. We begin this gathering by acknowledging and celebrating these traditional lands as a gathering place of the first peoples and their ancestors who were entrusted to care for Mother Earth since time immemorial. We do so respecting both the land and the indigenous people who continue to walk with us through this world. Today, the Township of North Frontenac is committed to working with indigenous peoples and all residents to pursue a path or a united path of reconciliation. Approval of the agenda, Tara.
Moved by Councillor Hudel, second by Councillor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council approves the agenda for the public meeting dated May 16th, 2024 regarding the Hills Lake Culvert as amended.
Any comments? In favor? Carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest, the general nature thereof? Seeing none? You have one? Okay, no. We have a presentation from Jewel Engineering with the Hills Lake Culvert Projects while we're here. I'm going to turn the meeting over to the manager of Public Works, Darwin Sproul, and he'll lead us through this with Jewel Engineering. Darwin.
Mr. Mayor, through you. So we retained Jewel Engineering to review the site conditions, the hydrology and hydraulics. So we have Brian Keane here, Brian Keane, PNG. So Brian's led our discussions with MNRF and Mississippi Valley through this process and has prepared the preliminary design that he's about to present the presentation for. Okay, Brian.
That it? Okay. Well, thank you. We're happy to be here this afternoon to present this report to you. As Darwin mentioned, we have a failed culvert at this 6253 Buckshot Lake Road. And initially, the culvert was a good candidate for a like-for-like replacement, which would mean if a culvert is failing, it's a certain size, certain orientation, would just be replaced as is. There was more interest at this location than typical culverts because this culvert has potential to adjust water levels in the lake. So this map up here just shows the location of the culvert, most of you would know. It was approximately an 800 millimeter culvert, corrugated steel. And by the time of our survey, the culvert was pretty much gone. There was a temporary culvert in its place. So it was rather difficult for us to find out what the original location of that culvert was. So we did our best guess with the information we could find out there. The concern, of course, when you have a control for a lake is that sometimes the lake's too high, sometimes it's too low. And in many cases, one resident would particularly like it higher, one resident would like it lower. And there are always various reasons. Some homes are built low. And then sometimes lakes, they're used for recreational purpose. So some folks would like to have it a little bit higher to keep the weeds down or to keep their propellers from hitting the bottom. But for any reason, there's always a lot of interest in lake levels. So this culvert, since it does control it, we're going to a little extra effort on this. So we wanted to find a replacement configuration that would do some improvement for the normal summer water level, and also provide a little bit of benefit during extreme flooding conditions. So it's a bit of a tall order because when you want to increase the water level, you have to raise the culvert up. When you raise the culvert up, then you're very likely going to also potentially raise the high water levels too. So that we couldn't tolerate that. There was no objective to raise the high water level. So we looked at various configurations that would do it. So in order to understand the situation, we did a little bit of topo survey. You're not blessed with GPS coverage up here all the time, so our survey was using total station, and we used a lake level to get around the lake to make sure that all of our shots were compared to some benchmark. This is just a little graphic showing the normal water leaving the lake. It would come from the left side of the graphic, go through that blue culvert. The driveway is just graphically shown there as two red lines. And then it would flow along the ditch and cross a cross culvert there on the road. That little cross, a purple cross, just shows a location of a low point in that driveway. And that's a significant point because we did pay attention to that. As the water level gets too high, that's where it's going to start spilling when the culvert can't handle it. So it'll spill out through that low spot during high flows and then go through the ditch, and then it'll be sort of backwatered. That's quite a bit of backwater in that ditch. I haven't observed it, but our modeling would suggest that. So we wanted to, again, find a solution for raising the low water level to whatever could be tolerated, and then making sure that we did not increase it during the 100-year, and perhaps even provide a little bit of benefit. The other important objective was that driveway is an access, so we would have to give some certainty that there would still be safe access. And we define that as about a foot of water over the road during the 100-year. So during low flow conditions, the driveway culvert really controls the lake. And I realize that there's beaver activity, and there's folks have been perhaps adding or subtracting debris that would stop the water from flowing. But in ordinary conditions, that culvert would control it during low. During high flows, the majority of the control really is happening downstream. So it's back flooding up through. And then the spill point in that driveway was only about half a meter higher than the lake level. So there's not a lot of opportunity. Once that lake level comes up too high, it's going to spill over that driveway. Yes, there would be safe access during a minor spill, but it's a nuisance to a property owner to have their driveway washing out with water. So what we selected was an arrangement of 3 600-millimeter culverts. They would be side by side. They'd be raised a little bit higher. And you can see where they would be placed right in the same location. We felt we could get 15 centimeters or 6 inches of bottom of the culvert being raised. That would be the best we could do with any culvert arrangement in order to keep the high water levels from getting too high. So the driveway, it really acts more like a dam. So we couldn't just put bigger culverts in and raise the driveway. That's where M&R said that's sort of the line. They would allow us to do this, but they didn't really want us to get into changing the whole water levels like that much. So the Ministry of Natural Resources, they agreed that the culverts in the driveway do act as a dam, so it met their definition. But they found that in their Lakes and Rivers Improvement Act, there's a few little conditions that says, look, we're not interested in these really, really small waterways. So it would not require a permit to do this culvert replacement. The Mississippi Valley still has permitting authority. So you would still have to go to Mississippi Valley for a permit. We've had some interaction with them. We reached out, met, had a meeting with all parties. And Mississippi Valley was content that if the MNR was okay with the arrangement, that they also would be content. Still have to look it over. Maybe there's something that they, I can't hold their feet to the fire to say, hey, give me a permit, but they did indicate they would be. So in summary, the proposed culverts, they'll raise the summer water level about 6 inches. It will not lead to an increase in flooding, so the 100-year flow will be more efficient. It will go through those new openings. There's a very minor increase, reduction, but really wasn't worth mentioning in that report. During high flow conditions, really nothing will change because the municipal cross culvert would still control. And access for that private crossing would be maintained. So that's a summary in a nutshell. I do probably have some more information if anyone has questions for me.
Thank you. So this is the time for those of the public who taken time out of their day to come and listen to this, and it's time for you to ask some questions. Yes. Hang on.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So I was just wondering, because last year when you guys changed the culvert, the water level went really low. Like I had 30 feet of mud in front of me, and I understand you had to let the water level drop to do the work. Is there any way that they can build like a minor dam in the water just outside of the culvert so we don't lose the lake 2 summers in a row prior to doing the work this year?
Mr. Mayor, through you, our submission to Mississippi Valley will include, they probably use stone or earth filled sacks, and we'll block it off while we're doing the replacement. We may have to maintain flow with pumping or something. And then we'll do it in the dry. Culverts will be put in service, and then those temporary bags would be removed to restore.
So that will minimize us losing the water.
Right.
Thank you. I just have one more question, and it's not towards this, but I am going to ask it quickly as it is towards this a bit. But I received my letter today to come to this meeting. It was mailed out last Thursday. It's disheartening to know that in a township this size, where I know many of you personally, that we weren't told prior to this. I just did a quick search on my phone through my email. There's 3 people in this room, and I will not name their names, but they have my email because I've been in contact with them over the years. And it's just disheartening to know that that's how I found out about this meeting, was a Councillor Roy told somebody at a bingo meeting on Tuesday.
I have a question. How long was this work anticipated to actually take? If all goes well. It's a construction site, I know.
We will be handing over the design to your field crews, and I believe the field crew wants to do the work themselves. So I suppose as soon as a permit is issued from Mississippi Valley, it would be in your crew's hands to decide timing and best timing. It doesn't take terribly long to replace a culvert, particularly when there's not a lot of traffic on it. But because of the cofferdam, I think it'll take a little bit of time to set that up, make sure it's working. But I would defer to your field crew on that.
I anticipate probably about 3 days, like a day for setup, a day we'll put the pipes in, and then a day we'll trim up the site. We'd be done.
So that would give the residents around the lake an idea of how long we're temporarily going to maintain that high water level, or for a certain water level. Not for a great time, not for all the summer or whatever, so be less than a week. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The drainage ditch where the driveway is that the lowest point that you've taken into account because we're being flooded out. So I just want to make sure that our property is higher than that watermark that you're basing the culvert on.
Yeah, indeed. So I do have a couple of elevations that I probably will bring out. To me, I'm a numbers guy, so I like to use numbers, but we assigned a lake level elevation of 100 meters. So we gave that. And we went around to some select properties and surveyed 4 properties. Was yours one of the properties? Okay, yes. So we looked at all of those properties that we surveyed. And we could see then the elevations and how it would affect each property. So the 100.15 meter elevation would be still along the shoreline. And we looked also because one property has very low backyard. So the backyard would be 100.4. So the spillway on this driveway that we've talked about is 100.5. So when it's spilling over the driveway, that's when your backyard would be pretty flooded. Yeah, so that's why that driveway has to be maintained to that low point. It is a very critical line. So we couldn't just throw gravel on that driveway to raise it up. So the culvert invert would be 100.15. So it's about 1.5 feet or slightly less than that lower than your backyard. So then, so it wouldn't be causing, during normal summers, it would be lower. So your backyard would be dry based on that.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, it was, the municipality was quite interested in making sure that we went around and checked as many homes as we could. So, indeed, yours was the lowest that we could see, yeah. So yours would be, in good shape. Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't have bought there. You know how deep the lake is? You know how deep the whole lake is?
No, I understand it's very shallow.
Yeah, it's 15 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar to some of the southern lakes that are quite shallow as well.
Anybody else? Now's your chance.
So if there's anybody online that wishes to make comment, please use the raise hand feature. Okay, so we do have some people who want to make comment. So I will start with Joel Zerba. Go ahead.
A lot of buttons to push. Okay, I just had to say, for 30 years, there was a metal plate on that culvert and there was no problem. What happened?
Mr. Mayor, there's a long history there of different attempts to control the water level. Since I've started here and we were maintaining it, there wasn't a rear plate. And as Brian explained, we can't introduce anything like that or it's controlled a dam. And we're into then permits and a process through MNRF. So.
Whatever.
Skate out 2 years ago. Darwin, your crew took the sluice gate out 2 years ago. I have
Yeah.
pictures.
Yes.
I don't believe there, anytime I was there, there was an old metal remains of something laying on the bank.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
all I could.
I've been
we
there on that
struggled
lake
with-
since
we've
1967.
struggled- Yeah, we've struggled with beaver dams. We've struggled with rocks and boulders and concrete bags. It's been like a 4-day-a-week job to try and keep that open and maintain it. So.
Folks, I want to go back to the people online, then we can come back to the council chambers. Joel, do you have a follow-up question?
No, I do not.
Thank you for your input.
Okay, so Kelly McGinnis. Go ahead. Make sure to unmute. There you go.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm just wondering, I'm the property next door to the property in question here. When is what's the estimated time frame when is this gonna start? And like a follow-up question is like last weekend I was up and I dug out the culvert myself. Is there anything gonna be put in place to help the new culverts from being locked or blocked, sorry? Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there'll be the plan is to make up specially made screens that'll be at the inlet of each of those three culverts. And I think he asked about timing. It'll depend on the constraints from Mississippi Valley. Just and when we can start. If they consider warm water fisheries issues, we couldn't do it till middle of July. If they don't, then we could do it sooner.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly, do you have any follow-up with that or another question?
No, that was good. I'm just concerned about the culverts being blocked again and just wondering what the ETA is for the start of it. So that's good for me.
Thank you. Kelly?
Okay, if there's anybody else that wishes to speak, please use the raise hand. I'm seeing none.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else in the council chamber like to make some final comments? Okay. That means that the information that's been provided here tonight we'll take back and it'll come back to the next council meeting, which is in 3 weeks. And at that point, council will make a decision. And if it's a go, we'll put the design and everything into process. Okay, so council, adjournment. Oh, sorry.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Hudel. Be it resolved that council receives for information a presentation from Brian Keane Jewel Engineering regarding the Hills Lake Culvert and thanks him for his time spent today. And the council instructs the Public Works Manager to provide a report at a future meeting with recommendations for council's consideration.
Comments? In favor? That motion's carried. Adjournment of the meeting.
Moved by Counselor Hudel, second by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved that council adjourns the public meeting at 5:22 p.m.
Comments? In favor? Meeting's adjourned. For those of you in the council chamber, we'll take a 2 or 3 minute break and we'll go into our regular council meeting. You're more than welcome to stay, but if you're just here for this, that portion is over. I'd also like to thank Jewel Engineering and Darwin for putting this all together for us. Okay, thank you for coming. Welcome to our regular council meeting, Township of North Frontenac, Thursday, May the 16th, 2024. Do we have to redo this again? Okay. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Counselor Hudel.
I, Roy Hudel, declare a pecuniary interest in item 10F on the May 16th, 2024 council meeting agenda. I'm making this declaration due to that I'm a member of the North Frontenac Fitness Group, which is applying for the community grant.
Okay. Counselor Regent.
So I would declare a pecuniary interest, even though it's probably not pecuniary, on under communications. Item B1, my request for the exemption of the noise bylaw.
Sir, anyone else? You're gonna get a rough ride on this one. You know that, eh? Okay,
Excuse me.
Council Deputy Mayor.
So I'm a member of the Ampa Community Center Committee, and they're also applying for grant, but I am not going to declare a pecuniary interest.
So we have a presentation from the County of Frontenac, Economic Development. Richard Allen and Debbie Miller. Welcome, folks. You for making the journey all the way up here on a nice night for a drive. Lucky it's not raining or snowing and whatever else.
Beautiful day to have us here. And thank you for extending a warm welcome and sharing your space with us so we could talk about economic development in Frontenac County. Many of you have met me before. I've been around for 7 years as a manager of economic development, but my colleague Debbie Miller is new to many of you as the community development officer, even though she's been here a couple of years. We've been in the pandemic and we've been virtual. It's nice to be here in person and chatting with you. So just to move through, this is just to point out, that's me in the little canoe there. It's on Crotch Lake. I spend a lot of time up here when I'm not working as much as I'm working, because I really enjoy the natural assets that Frontenac has to share, North Frontenac has to share. So I've already introduced us. If you're new to council and to our services, we provide support to businesses. We're moving into investment attraction efforts. We've done tourism. Open Farms is an initiative that we've done to support local food and agriculture for the past 7 years. And below that, we also do the KMP Trail as a strategic economic development initiative, both the management of the infrastructure as well as promotion of the experience. And then I'm going to try to, there we go. Thank you, Kelly. And so I'm going to let my colleague Debbie talk to you about our Frontenac Ambassador Program.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you for having us here to speak to you today. So the Frontenac Ambassador Program is something that we're coming back to. We haven't been as involved with it as in the last couple of years. So we're working on networking events. We have one coming up on June 11th in Sydenham. You're more than welcome to join. An opportunity for businesses to connect with each other, to meet new businesses, and for new businesses in the county to meet others. It's a really great opportunity. I'm spending a lot more time visiting new and existing businesses around the county as well, spending time trying to block out days, going around visiting, seeing if there's needs for the businesses as well. I was on my way up here today, popped into several businesses just to see how things are going and if there's connections needed. We also provide made in Frontenac tags and labels, so we're just working on those right now. And then also always looking to expand our newsletter reach. We have a weekly newsletter that we circulate and just looking to connect with the, perfect, thank you. Looking to connect with the business community through the newsletter. And what we do is we try to compile partner information into one spot. So they've got 5 or 6 things to focus on, from funding, from partnerships, from training, lots of opportunities to engage with the community as well. So the business communication, again, this year we did a countywide business survey, and it was the first collaborative survey, and we worked with the 4 townships in Frontenac County, as well as Frontenac Business Services on the survey. We had 73 responses in 2023, this year, sorry. And the survey aligned, so we're moving forward to do the survey we've suggested in 2027, so that there's a lot of time that's spent on the survey and compiling the data and reviewing the data. So we're looking to align it with the council strategic priority sessions with the next term of council, instead of doing it every year, doing it every 4 years. So a little bit more efficient, but also spending a bit more time having a focused, concerted effort with the business community. So we're going out to the businesses to look to work on the survey. Social media pages. So we also look after the Visit Frontenac Facebook and Instagram page, and the KMP Trail Community Facebook page as well, which is very active. The newsletter, so this just speaks to a little bit about the newsletter. It goes out weekly. There's 276 subscribers, just over close to 13,000 emails have been sent, but there's an open rate of 78% or 70%, sorry, which is a very high number. of an open rate. It's typically around 30 is considered a good open rate. So we know the business community is looking at that. In 2023, we held several different events around Frontenac County. We had a spring networking event at Belong Sharbet Lake with 44 businesses and participants from across the region. We had a Wolf Island familiarization tour with 42 participants from Kingston and Frontenac. So inviting people in the tourism sector to learn more about crossing on the ferry, ways to access Wolf Island as well. Those are big questions that are asked through Kingston, so that was a really important piece. And we also had an experience workshop where we brought in Frontenac businesses to talk about developing experiences and how they could work collaboratively to build experiences. There was 14 participants in that. It was a 5-hour session. We ended up adapting it slightly because there was so much interest in having further conversations to collaborate together. And the Business Retreat and Awards. So again, we've had 2 years of Business Retreat and Awards at RKY Camp in Central Frontenac. This past year, there were 58 participants. We hosted 4 panel discussions with the business community where they were the ones speaking and able to answer questions to the others. And then there was lots of opportunities for networking. The day ended with the award presentations. And the award nominations this year, we had 94 nominations for the 5 awards, which were held. So that was a really great, outpouring of support for our business community. And then the 5 recipients were thrilled with it. There was tears from a couple of them, which was really lovely. Like it was emotional for them, which was nice to see. The award also, you'll see the picture of the award. Each year we go to a different artist in a different township to ask them to create an award based on their interpretation of the Frontenac brand. So that it's really lovely. So it was a lantern made out of pottery, and the first year was a painting. Mark your calendars. Tuesday, October 29th at RKY Camp is this year's event. So looking forward to that. And the awards will launch in August. So tourism, again, another piece. So we worked on tourism brand standards with our business community and launched those and rolled them back out with a toolkit to the business community. So how businesses can align with our brand, and the brand standards really speak to the storytelling aspect, the visual aspect. So it's not about the logo, it's about how we look and how we feel and how we speak about Frontenac County. The Eastern Ontario Trail Loop market readiness piece is one.
I'll talk more about that.
Okay. Okay, we'll let Richard speak to that in the next slide. And then we also have connections with the 2 regional tourism organizations, RTO 9 in the south, so South Frontenac and the Islands, and RTO 11 for the North Frontenac group and Central.
So just to dive a little bit deeper into the Eastern Ontario Rail Trail Loop, I've just spent the last week or so traveling this loop that's consisted of the KMP Trail, the Algonquin Trail, the Ottawa Valley Recreation Trail, and the Cataraqui Trail. It's a 360-kilometer loop through 4 counties and with 4 different trail operators working on the various elements of the loop. We've identified this along with our tourism partners at Ontario's Highlands and at the counties of Renfrew, the county of Lanark, the town of Smiths Falls, the township of Rideau Lakes as like a signature experience that we can develop in Eastern Ontario, that we can solicit marketing and investment support from the province and the federal government to help us promote, as we've all been working on these trail products for a significant period of time. So I've been out with a consultant assessing the market readiness of the existing products. So the consultant is from Terminus Consulting, based in New Brunswick, and has extensive experience with assessing trails and prepping them for the tourism market. And so what we'll get when we get her report back is a sense of where we're at, what needs to happen before we can start marketing, and then to what level we might be marketing to. So if certain things are not in place in terms of amount of accommodations or quality of accommodations, We may not start going to an international market, but we might market across Canada or North America to start and then move from there. The initial reactions were quite positive from the consultant. After she spent 11 days on the trail, and she traveled by bicycle, car on the rainy days, ATV, and moved through all of the various pieces of all of the trail. So I was on 50% of it. She did all 360 kilometers of it. And so we're really excited to sort of see where the direction goes for this project, and to continue to work with our partners in Renfrew and Lanark and Rideau Lakes to establish this as a significant product for attracting tourism to our region. When we come to our part of that loop, the Frontenac KMP Trail, we have a couple projects that are of mind, specifically the rehabilitation of the trail between Clarendon Station and the Mississippi River. It's 8 kilometers. We're doing some preparatory work, but we still are waiting to hear on a Rural Economic Development Program grant that I applied for earlier this year. And if we get that funding, we'll be ready to go. If we don't get that funding, I'll have to go back to my books and see what I can do with the county council to make that move forward. We're also in the process of negotiating the transfer of the MVCA. That's another partnership that with so a portion of the KMP Trail is owned by the MVCA, so about 38 kilometers across 3 counties. So the 3 counties are working together to negotiate the transfer of that in each of the counties' lands. So Lanark will take what's in Lanark, Renfrew will take what's in Renfrew, and we'll take what's in Frontenac. There are some Mississippi Valley is just doing some due diligence to sort out some pieces. We have the least complicated issues in Frontenac County, so we will we're hoping to start transferring some of the land by the end of the year. We also have seen some events on the trail. In 2023, we had a gravel cup event hosted at Back 40 Artisan Cheese, which used the trail as well as some of the back roads here. Cyclists love Frontenac County's gravel roads. So don't put too much hardtop down in too many places because it's an incredibly growing market. Cyclists are sick of being on busy roads beside fast-moving traffic. They like our roads, they like our hills, they like our way of life here. And so they're starting to discover Frontenac County and come here for events, for tourism, to stay here. We also had a century ride that was based at the Kick and Push Brewery in Charbot Lake, but it traveled up to Robertsville and back down on a 50-kilometer loop. That ride was interesting because the organizers didn't tell anybody about the work that still needs to be done on parts of the trail, and they were waist deep in water. And they thought that was part of the experience overall. I just have a bit of mobile data too on this slide. And I just want to kind of, you can't quite see what the last section says on the slide here, but it says visitors from over 100 kilometers away. So you can see that we were relatively stable for that in 2021 and 2022, but we had a significant increase of those visitors in 2023, even though overall visits had dropped from 2022 to 2023. And that basically is just to me, that's a sign of the pandemic. What we're seeing is more locals are back in the office and making less trips to the trail on a regular basis. And we're seeing more people who are in the region and going on local holidays discover us as we've started to promote the trail more often. The certain assumptions are made when someone's coming from over 100 kilometers away is that they're spending money on gas, probably food, and hopefully accommodations when they're coming to the region. There we go. Thank you. I'll let Debbie speak to Open Farm Days.
So Open Farm Days, we're moving into the 7th year of this initiative. So in 2023, this is just I'll give a quick summary of the 2023 event recap. So it was a 6-week initiative. We developed a new website, openfarms.ca, where each of the experiences were hosted. We've adjusted the website this year, so it's hosting all of the experiences, but it's also got another section for location. So that section will speak to CSA boxes, farm stands, a lot of other pieces too. So it will have a lot more information. Last year, there was 19 participating locations with 89 community events over the 6-week timeframe, 54 of them being ticketed. There was 4 weekly farmers markets included. This year there's 5. So all 5 from Kingston and Frontenac are involved. We had 11 media inquiries that resulted in 11 articles across different channels. And there was 8,420 unique website visitors to the new site. So lots of interest there. The launch event was held at the Frontenac Farmers Market, and there was a lot of conversation around, I've never been to this market before. We anticipated about 60% of the people were new to that market, which was a great kickoff. So we're currently recruiting for farms, restaurants, and others for this year. It's going to start August 16th and run till the end of September. So another great initiative that we're working on. And the next one is focus on local healthcare. So another project in my portfolio right now. So again, working with the physicians in Frontenac County. We took a report to the last council meeting, and we're moving forward with an operational review, working with a consultant on clinics and like doing an operational review of the clinics in Frontenac County to identify opportunities for support, but also ways that we can ease that administrative pressure within the clinics, and not the administrative portion that deals with the patients, but the administrative portion that deals with IT, it deals with cutting grass, snow removal.
Essentially like business, running their business.
Yes.
Better.
So that's the part we're at right now. So that's another piece that I'm working on.
First time I'll refer to our first ever annual report, and you're the first council we've shared this with, including county council hasn't seen it yet. So you're very special. We just wanted to make sure that you had a sense of the activities and the breadth of the activities we do. In here, we have our existing Charter for Economic Development laid out, which talks about trips and trails, recreation, lifestyle, and food and beverage. Over the course of the last couple of years, we've been engaging the business community and planning updates to our Charter for Economic Development. We put the update on hold until we had strategic priorities from County Council in place to make sure that our priorities were in alignment with where County Council was going. And so we've landed on 4 priorities, those priorities being, sorry, I just said that. So we're sticking with what we call economic infrastructure. So those are the things. So in our previous charter, we had recreation lifestyle, but we couldn't understand what it meant. Ultimately, that meant being able to work remotely. We understand what remote work is now. I think everybody knows what that term is. And so, having other infrastructure in place to support economic activity. So commercial lands or commercial properties for new businesses to move into. We put the work we're doing around municipal services under that. So we're going to play a role in supporting the promotion and advocacy for communal services. We want to see housing increase in the county through a number of means, mostly again through communal services. We want to see continue to focus on growing our food and beverage opportunities in the county. And then we also are going to continue to look at tourism, specifically trails tourism in Frontenac County. And so those are the proposed updates to the Charter for Economic Development. They went through our Planning and Economic Development Committee last month, and they're going to be going online for input next week at the link below. I haven't made it live yet because I was on the trail for the last week. And so, and as you know, the reception on the trail isn't great. And so it's hard for me to do 2 things at once. So that is That's right. So that's our presentation. And we're happy to take any questions about what we spoke about, what's in front of you in the two reports, or anything at all that interests you from an economic development standpoint. One thing we didn't mention that we started last month is that, and that your councils already spoke about, is that one of us will be here each month working in the office with your staff, either to respond to businesses, but also to just strengthen our relationship and be there to be consulted on issues of economic development in the county on a regular basis.
So thank you, Richard. Thank you, Debbie. What about questions, folks from council? Councillor Fowler?
Yeah, I really like your open farm thing. I think it's great. And I think I'll try to get to one of those farmer markets because I think it'd be kind of interesting to see what they do. Regarding the K&P Trail, is there any plans to have a bridge go over the Mississippi River?
We don't have any plans for that bridge at this time. There's been some discussion pretty much on a regular basis. And so I know that it's something that's of interest to the township, but at this point, we're just working on development to the Mississippi of the existing trail.
And is this going to attract a lot of commerce, say in the Snow Road area? I know you've got Back 40 Cheese, which is a wonderful place.
So we've already identified needs for additional accommodations specifically. We know through various trail polling across the country that trail trips for multi-day trail users could be anywhere from 20 kilometers to 70 kilometers a day. And so between Charlotte Lake and Calabogie, we definitely see the opportunity for additional accommodations to be launched.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Deputy Mayor.
Richard, has your group ever done an individual business case study? Our Economic Development Task Force, now chaired by Stephanie, was interested in one or two case studies, and we've lost our EDO. So one of our options later in the meeting is to hire somebody. Is that something you guys could do for us ever in the future?
Thank you. We've in the past profiled some of our ambassadors in order to promote more businesses and to enjoy to rejoin the ambassador program. So it's something we could consider as we sort of are dusting off the ambassador program and looking at ways that we can service the business community and promote the business community appropriately. We would want to do it in such a way that we're telling that story externally to help promote additional businesses to launch or open, and then provide that information to the local councils as well. But we wanted to do it as part of a marketing campaign in some way, shape, or form.
Anyone else? So this, Councillor Hoodle.
Not a question, just a comment. Thanks for your presentation. I think the K&P Trail is great. I use it. So thanks for entertaining and all that. But maybe it is a question. The communal services, exactly how are you planning on marketing that?
I'm going to step in here because we had that discussion today. We had a Frontenac Municipal Services Corporation Board of Directors meeting. And that's kind of under development at this time. And we're working hand in hand with the planning staff from the county to make sure it's all put together. And you're part of the tech committee, so you're one of the drivers of this. So more to come, big way. Anybody else? So I want to talk about the trail. It's $250,000 to upgrade an existing trail from Clarendon Station up to the bridge in Snow Road. And it's probably another $1 million plus to go from Snow Road up to the Lanark line. If we add a bridge, we're probably looking at another $2 million, maybe more. So that's a major, it's 80 feet across. It's a major undertaking and you know, where I've really been on the quality of the damage to the deck. So we'll be watching what happens to that particular deck. The other thing is, this is to Debbie in healthcare. She really has piqued my interest because of our support for the local doctors and clinics and so on. Is she the lady with the money at the end of the day? I'm not so sure it's exactly what we're looking for. So we're looking for a report from her to come back to council eventually. And I did lobby her to make sure that she includes the Orlando Lakes Family Health Team, because that clinic, even though it's in our neighboring township, we support it 50%. So she told me she would consider it. That's what she told me. Is there anything else? Thank you, folks, for coming. We really appreciate having you here. We look forward to great things and working together.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Hudel. Be it resolved that council receives for information the Frontenac County Economic Development Update from Richard Allen, Manager of Economic Development, and Debbie Miller, Community Development Officer, and thanks them for their time spent today.
Any comments? In favor? Carried. I missed one.
You did. I was just gonna say.
Okay. So we do a business profile pretty much every meeting, and this one is about the Red Barn Zone.
Moved by Counselor Hudel, second by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved that council receives for information the business profile of Red Barn Zone provided by Paul Teal, member of the Economic Development Task Force.
Any comments? In favor? Carried. So we have no delegations. Item 7 is the adoption of the minutes.
Moved by Counselor Hudel, second by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved that council adopts the minutes as circulated of the following meetings. A public meeting of council held April 26, 2024, and a regular meeting of council held April 26, 2024.
Comments? In favor? Motion's carried. Communications. Section A.
Have a motion. Moved by Counselor Good, second by Counselor Regent. Be it resolved that council adopts the A section of the communications of interest.
Any comments? Counselor Fowler?
It's just a reminder, item 18, Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance REIT 25th anniversary invitation. If you are interested in attending that, get a hold of Cindy Cassidy. They want to have a head count, so it's going to be a nice event. They're going to be serving food and beverages too.
Did you want to mention, it's going to do it under your report section, sorry. Any other comments? In favor? Motion's carried. Communication section B. So it'll be B1, request for exemption of the noise bylaw.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Hudel. Be it resolved that council receives the email from Stephanie Regent, resident, advising she will be holding an event on September 21st, 2024 at 1230 Head Road and requesting exemption from the following sections of the noise bylaw. Section 3.3C prohibits the operation of any electronic device or group of connected electronic devices incorporating one or more loudspeakers or other mechanical transducers and intended for the production, reproduction, or amplification of sound. And section 3.3G prohibits shouting, yelling the sound from an instrument or radio loud parties between 12 o'clock AM and 7 o'clock AM. That is clearly audible at neighboring premises or residential properties. The council approves the exemption to the noise bylaw to permit the event ending no later than 1 o'clock AM on September 22nd, 2024. And the council instructs the clerk to provide a copy of this resolution to the requester and township's bylaw enforcement officer.
Are there any comments? Keep them nice, gentlemen. Just, Mickey was just lining up here. Deputy Mayor.
Congratulations.
Okay. All in favor of this? That motion is carried. So congratulations. I have to. Oh, okay. That's not necessary. So item 10, Shore Road Allowance Application for Approval in Principle, Hagerman.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, second by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Shore Road Allowance Application for Approval in Principle, Hagerman. And the council approves in principle the application to close, stop up, and sell the Shore Road Allowance as described below. Part of the Shore Road Allowance lying adjacent to part of lots 4 and 5, concession 11, geographic township of Miller, Grindstone Lake.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Shore Road Allowance Closure and Bylaw from Malloy.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Fowler. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Shore Road Allowance Closure and Sale Bylaw, Malloy. That is required by bylaw 2023, all those parts of the Shore Road Allowance lying in front of lot 25 concession E, geographic township of Barrie, being parts 1 and 2 on registered plan 13R23098 Marble Lake, be declared a surplus and sold to the adjoining owner. Appraisals of the property are not necessary as these are Shore Road allowances. The council will consider a bylaw later in the meeting to stop up, close, and sell a portion of the Shore Road allowance.
Have any comments? In favor? The motion is carried. Is 10C, title discrepancy.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, second by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved that council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Title Discrepancy Part 4 on Plan 13R76, Legal Kerr. That all costs associated with correcting the title discrepancy are the responsibility of the property owners, and that council will consider a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the acknowledgement and direction to submit an application to correct the title for Part 4 on 13R76 later in the meeting.
Have any comments? In favor of the resolution? Resolution's carried. 10D, adoption of an electronic signature policy.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, seconded by Counselor Fowler. Be it resolved that council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Adoption of an Electronic Signature Policy. And the council will consider a bylaw later in the meeting to adopt the electronic signature policy.
Comments? In favor? Motion's carried. Item 10E, proposed potential municipal campground update.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, second by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved that council receives for information the Manager of Community Development's administrative report entitled Proposed Potential Municipal Campground Update. And the council directs the Manager of Community Development to bring back estimated pricing for council to consider regarding hiring a consultant to complete a business plan for a municipal campground during the 2025 budget deliberations.
Comments? Counselor Hermer, then Deputy Mayor.
Has it ever been decided what parcel of land that this might be built on?
Brooke?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, at this time, this is just, would be a business case to determine if it's feasible, and then the land acquisition would come in the future if council is agreeable.
Deputy Mayor?
Did we make some progress on this, Brooke, with the EDO before he left? And is there something to start with if we were to hire an outsider?
There's some minimal work done on this, a little bit to start with an idea for the consultant.
that would mean it would take some work for you and your staff to put it together, to go look for a consultant. Okay, you done? Okay, sorry. Anybody else? Okay, let's have a vote on the motion. In favor? So let's do that again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed, 5. We're asking Brooks to put together a package to go out and get pricing and not have it ready for the 2025 budget. So that's 8 months from now. Essentially, yes. Except you're putting the consultants through better work to respond to an RFP. It shouldn't do that on a regular basis anyway. We don't seem to, but it still could be. Wayne? Yeah, time wise, yes. Well, hang on, what's the impact, Corey, on staff? What do you think?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think at this point, it's just to get some ballpark figures from a couple consultants for Brook to, then typically, once this goes out, or once we get some ballpark figures, we would put in an RFP. Once you guys have those ballpark figures and you determine, you know, this is feasible or it's not, you know, then an RFP would go out after that time. So really, it's just getting some ballpark figures from consultants to bring you guys back a budget type to consider.
So who?
So I just want to clarify something. So this would be a business case to be created for the 2025 budget, correct? And it's my understanding that our 2025 budget would start at the end of this year, not the beginning of next year. So it's less than 8 months. Less than 8 months.
Yeah.
We're aware of that, right? So the time, I'm only saying the timeline is shrunk a little. Okay, yeah.
Oversimplifying, is this just putting together a couple of pages in terms of reference and making a couple of calls? I'm going to send you this. What do you think?
That's correct. There wouldn't be a full RFP until council has actually decided you want to spend the money. This would just be obtaining ballpark figures.
I think we're all worried about your workload and anybody else that's was working with you and so on and so forth. So if we're even thinking of doing this, sitting where we are, it's pretty remote. It's down the road 6 months, not 8 months. Anyway, Wayne's asked to record a vote. So are there any final comments before we hold the vote on this? Sure.
We already know that it's gonna cost well over $1 million to get this thing going. And then there's gonna be hiring all the staff to go run it afterwards. I got friends that runs a campground, and it's very hard. It's long hours, and it's just not an 8-hour day. So I personally don't think our residents can afford a tax bill of over $1 million added to another year.
So I'm just gonna say what Councilor Good always says, that part's not on the agenda. So we can't talk about that.
Okay, so. Okay, let's go to the recorded vote.
Counselor Fowler,
Yes.
Counselor Good, Counselor Hermer,
No.
Counselor Hudel,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ingles,
Yes.
Counselor Regent,
Yes.
Mayor Lickey.
Yes.
Motion is carried 5-2.
Community grant applications.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Fowler. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the Manager Community Development's Administrative Report entitled 2024 Community Grants Applications. And the council approves $1,000 for the Backroad Studio Tour to advertise and promote their 2024 studio tour. And the council approves $1,000 for the Just Move Butterfly Garden Project at the Claremont Community Hall in Clarendon Central Public School. And the council approves the placement of a butterfly garden at the Claremont Community Hall and directs the manager of community development to work with the Just Move Group on a suitable location, volunteer insurance, etc. And the council approves $1,000 for the Claremont Community Volunteers for the purchase of armchairs for the Claremont Community Hall. That these chairs will become township assets and available for the public use at all times. And the council approves $1,000 for the Land O'Lakes or the Lions Club of Land O'Lakes to assist with the cost of the 2024 Santa Claus Parade. And the council approves $1,000 for the North Frontenac Amateur Astronomy Club to help fund electrical installation and dedication plaque in the name of Mr. Guy Nasson for the second observatory. And the council directs the manager of community development to work with the NFAAC for the electrical work on township property. And the council approves $988.89 for the North Frontenac Fitness Group for the purchase of exercise equipment. And the council approves $1,000 for the North Frontenac Food Bank support in 2024. However, the North Frontenac Food Bank will need to apply for funding annually in the future through the North Frontenac Community Grants Program, should they wish to be considered for funding. And that council approves $1,000 for the North Frontenac Historical Society and Archives to assist with preservation projects they are completing in 2024 as described in their application for funding. And that council approves $1,000 for the Ampa Community Center Association to assist with the purchase of a new double-sided sign. And the council directs the manager of community development to work with the OCCA to determine appropriate placement of the sign on township property.
Okay, so any comments? Those are good. Wayne?
All these was put in the initial budget, were they?
Through you. So it's 10,000 is put in annually for this community grant program. So you've got, so all of these apply for the funding. And then, and so it's within that $10,000. So yes, you've agreed to put money in the budget, 10,000, it's 10,000, Brooke? 9,000, and it's, so it fits within that budget.
Okay, is any of these gonna be, that's for this year, but any of these gonna require more money year after year after year?
So they can,
Additional.
they apply each year for different further programs, right? So this has been going on for 5 or 6 years now at least. But yeah, so they have to reapply each year, and it's council's decision as to whether or not you're going to fund their programs.
Can you go ahead? The observatory is looking for hydro to be installed. That's going to be a yearly expense, monthly expense for the hydro bill for that place. Has that been put in the budget before, or is that's just something that's been hidden here on this?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So they're requesting to run electrical to the second observatory. So that will consist of 1 or 2 light bulbs and a couple electrical. So the electrical that's going to add to the monthly hydro bill is very insignificant.
When we did this at budget time, we separated out X number of dollars as an ongoing issue, then these were the ones that were discretionary. So why is the one for the food banks have the special corollary that says they have to apply in the future? If all these are the same way? Just a question.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So they had, they didn't apply through the program. They had sent a letter in and had given it to Councillor Hudel. So to receive any grants like that, they have to come through per the community grants policy. So they didn't actually fill out the appropriate application. So we did include it this year, but in the future, they will have to be considered annually with the other groups. So that's why there's a little bit of difference, just so they're aware that in the future, they do have to fill out the application, provide the annual or the end of year reporting, et cetera.
So thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Brooke, were there applications that had to be turned away because we didn't have enough money, or I thought it was 10,000 available, so you got 9 applications, $1,000 limit each? Is that what happened?
So council in the budget approved $9,000 and we did just receive the 9 applications, so nobody was turned away.
was 10, but we took 10 out and made it a permanent transfer to the school in Lebanon. Okay, any other comments? In favor? Carried. We have no external committees, boards, etc. Anyone giving notice of motion? We have no written notice or motions or written notice of which has been given previously. Council verbal reports. It has been a most interesting week. We have had a county meeting. We have had a municipal services corporation meeting. It is what it is. So it started with the county meeting, the council meeting for county. The big issue was Frontenac Islands Township consists of, I think, 3 islands, and 2 of them are serviced by ferries, of which there's a cost sharing arrangement. The MTO owns the boat or owns the ferries, and the Township of the Township of Frontenac Islands pays a portion. And the county, in this particular case, the Howe Island Ferry, we supply as the county, the staffing, and that's all. There's a cost recovery. There, on this particular ferry, there is a load restriction during commuter times of 3,000 kilograms, so 6,600 pound vehicles. And that's essentially to keep large vehicles off the ferry during the most critical hours. That has been modified back about 4 or 5 years ago to allow farm equipment on no matter what the weight is. It's become more critical because the boat was built to handle 3 lines of traffic. What that meant, if something happened on the boat, you're in that car, you can't get out because the cars are that far apart. So it's down to, for safety reasons, it's cut back to 2 lanes of traffic. So based on the last time something happened, there was lawsuits to no end, and it cost the county a lot of money. The people in the island sued the county, sued the legal firm, and it was the county won the lawsuit, but the cost was horrendous. And so now they've come back and they want to remove those restrictions. This is the county. The township, we sent them back to do a survey. They did that over like 15 days, saying, oh yes, they want to do it, but there still was a lot of back and forth. And they didn't acknowledge the fact that we would approve it if they agreed to cover all the legal costs and all staff time. And they won't do that. So this was just another way to come back saying we want to increase the load limit from 3,000 kilograms to 6,000 kilograms. And we said, no. Actually, we sent them away and said, come back with, we deferred it. They didn't want to defer it, but the rest of the county did. Because we still want them to, we will not agree to this without them agreeing to pay for all the legal fees. When you ask the lawyers that were involved in the first lawsuit 5, 6 years ago, and they refused to get involved because it's so costly, then you know it's a big problem.
And also they have to indemnify the county.
Yeah. The paramedics, they're keeping 1 ambulance was supposed to go in 2024. We're keeping that 1 extra year. They received a grant of $18,000 from Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation of Canada for a bicycle team for the paramedics. 6 bikes, 10 helmets, 10 sets of gloves, 8 bike lights. But we have to add $10,000 or $7,000 for portable defibrillators. Back several months ago, I reported that there's a potential for or a future need for increasing the capacity of Fairmont Home. And there was a move to want to build an addition or to build a new home. And we suggested that maybe we should get a condition assessment of the existing building. And that has now come back. It still has to be put in a format that we can use or is more user-friendly. The costs in 2040, 45 to 50 begin to become horrendous, like 1 million, 2 million, 4 million. So if a new building at 160 beds is 100 million, you're looking at maybe a current building. You had to rebuild it at 128, what it is. You're looking at 75 or $80 million. So it's not small. So it's a real serious issue. The reason I mentioned Debbie Miller when she was here about the medical side, the county has $20,000 in the budget to help procure doctors or nurse practitioners. At no point did anybody put it in the budget or put any conditions around how this was going to apply. So Frontenac Islands came back and said, we want all 20,000 to hire a nurse practitioner for the island. And I'm going, that's fine, but we want the same for North Frontenac. Because we've got 95,000 sitting over the next 5 years, sitting in Northbrook. This was turned down because first of all, she wanted it all. And I asked the question, how much are you putting in? And they said they hadn't got to it at their council level yet. So the answer is 0. And they did have a clinic on the island. This is Wolf Island, and the doctors left and then the nurse practitioner left. So if they want medical help, they have to take the ferry across, which runs every hour and a half. And there's protocols around the ferry and so on. This has been going on as long as Fred and I've been on this council, different delegations and so on. And we did remove the ambulance from a station on Wolf Island, because once it's called out, it never goes back. So why have it there? So that's ongoing. And that, folks, is pretty much it. I didn't actually, doesn't matter for that. Okay. So Councilor Good? Sure.
Just to clarify, Jerry, you said the county budgeted 20,000 total? 20,000.
20,000. My comment was, how much do you need? She said, it's all 20,000. It's not
I
enough.
know, but why is the county only budgeting 20,000? I mean, for all of
The comment is like, why are they even in that particular business? This whole thing started with a doctor out of the Sydenham Clinic coming to talk to us. And who knows, at the county level, things, it's a different scenario than it is here. We don't talk about roads and bridges, and we don't talk about business ABC and whatever. We're talking about big picture stuff, paramedics, Fairmont Home, tourism. So it's just $20,000. That's just the way it is. And when we first approved it, I was getting the impression that it was going to go to South Frontenac. But I make the position that every time I hear the mayor from Frontenac Island say how unique they are, I'm going, we have rocks and trees and lakes and rivers. We're just as unique as you are. We're just as far away. So she doesn't, I'm not on her Christmas card list, I don't think. But it's, you know, I'm not in favor of giving county money to somebody if we don't get our fair share or a promise of it. It's that simple. So, well, the last thing before I leave is this morning, Corey and I attended a meeting of the Frontenac Municipal Services Corporation. Actually, Roy knows more about this than I do because he's on the technical committee, and they're moving ahead with vehicles like for hiring this and hiring that individual and common language. We aren't there yet. The money that's being spent is very minimal. It's just a little bit of director time and committee time and so on. We haven't committed any big dollars. We're trying to partner with EORN, who have $1 million from CMHC with the promise of another X number of millions of dollars to promote or to use the Frontenac Municipal Service Corporation's model to promote building of houses elsewhere. So we'll see where that all goes. And we saw the shareholder agreement today. We have a bylaw that this is how you'll operate. That's fine. But the shareholder agreement has to come back here. So we had the first crack at it today. The lawyer was talking in plain language so we could understand it and so on. And we have a ways to go, but I think we'll get there. But we will have to run that through our lawyer and so on. And just especially for Wayne's sake, it was 96,000 and change. It's down to $87,000 now because our weighted assessment was less than what it was when we first put it together. Still, $87,000. Okay. Counselor Good.
Yeah, I plan on attending both Cache, Washamaq Lake and the Shabamika Lake Association meetings and come up with future. And as far as the road closures go, as they come in, I go and do them. So that's all there is to it.
On Shabamika, I met with Laura Logan here. And I will send you a copy of the letter or the email, I'll send it to both of you that I sent to Corey. And I'll send a copy of a response that I sent to her last night. So you guys know, because I don't think I can be at Cache Lake because I gotta be here at 10 o'clock. I might be there for half an hour and so on, but it's gonna be your ball. Okay, so we have Counselor Regent.
So my next board meeting with the family health team is June. Counselor Good has mentioned our lake responsibilities and waiting on the OPP detachment board for a meeting.
On that, I and the deputy mayor have a basically one-on-one meeting with Scott Underhill scheduled for the latter part of June at his request. It's just kind of a meet and greet. So hopefully he buys the coffee. We'll see. Counselor Hoodle.
We had an MVCA board meeting on Monday. Very short meeting, not much there. I can tell you that the dam on Farm Lake is getting condition assessment this year in the summer. The EA for Kashawakamak Lake is coming up. It's a public meeting. So I got an invitation for it. I'm sure you got an invitation for it. Yeah, Zoom meeting. So they're gonna discuss the options at Cache during that meeting. And I guess we talked about the lease agreement at Palmerston Canado Conservation Area. It's back with, we signed it, correct? Yeah. It's coming. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have.
Oh, when Stephanie and Wayne, when you meet with Cache Lake, that'll be a question with the dam, but there is a member of his, are you? Okay, Saturday morning. No, it's in the July, yeah, you're gonna be there as well? Okay, so, and there's a member from that association on the team. Okay. Counselor Hermer.
Nothing to report.
Counselor Fowler.
Yes, Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance, again, they have that 25th anniversary on June 1st. Also, when I was at the meeting last week, one of the other counselors brought up the fact that they get the EOTA minutes in their agendas. And I know that we don't get them, so I asked questions and I think I put in a motion and they approved it to have their minutes put into, sent to North Frontenac because they do work for us. And also, if it could end up in the communications section A, would be a good place for it. And then that way, if you, other counselors or other people in the public want to see what's going on at our meetings, they'll get a chance to look at that. Nothing with North Frontenac Trails and Line, or enhancement rather. County business, we looked after that. The Lake Associations, Lake Ward. I see Jim Gutman's here. Welcome. And when are you, can I ask him, when are you having your AGM? Okay. The Palmerston Lake Association. June 20, okay. Moving on, seniors and law enforcement together. We had our regular meeting today. Our next regular meeting will be in August 15th. There's got something going on there. October 2nd, we're going to have a at UMPA, we're going to have a fire safety topic there at UMPA. And also we're applying for the a grant with the Retired Teachers Association. And then with our money that we get from North Frontenac should be suffice for carrying us through next year. And yeah, and then we had a presentation at Plevna on marine safety. Unfortunately, we had low attendance at that one. We didn't manage to reach as many people that we wanted to have. But anyway, that's it.
Mayor Ingles?
I'm expecting an invitation from Palmerston Lake. So yeah, AGM. It would be nice if we had something to report on the Lofolia Lane project by that time. It's certainly taking longer than anybody thought. And this, I will be going to the Sunday Lake Association, but so far, nobody's had a meeting.
Okay. All right, anything else before we leave that item? All right, introduction and reading of bylaws.
Moved by Counselor Regent, seconded by Counselor Good. Be it resolved that leave be given to the mover to introduce the following bylaws that have been circulated to all members of council. Bylaw 2024-40, road allowance closure Malloy. 2024-41, to adopt electronic signature policy. 2024-42, to sign acknowledgement and direction for application to amend a property title discrepancy being part 4 on 13R76, and that these bylaws be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Comments? In favor? Motion's carried. Public forum, is anyone online, Kelly?
If there's anybody online that wishes to make comment at this time, please use the raise hand feature. Seeing none.
Would you like to make a comment? Okay, we don't have a closed session. We have nothing to rise in the report. We have a confirmatory bylaw, item 19.
Moved by Counselor Regent, seconded by Counselor Good. Be it resolved that bylaw 2024-43, being a bylaw to confirm all actions and proceedings of council for its regular meeting held May 16th, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Adjournment.
Moved by Counselor Regent, seconded by Counselor Good. Be it resolved that council adjourns the meeting at 6:29 PM until June 6, 2024, at the call of the chair.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Meeting is adjourned.